I'm Gary Rosen. We're here with Serch on the set of your new talk show. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Gary.
Premieres January 6, 2014. Let's talk about how you got to this chair. You grew up in Far Rockaway, Queens, an Orthodox Jewish neighborhood, but you got involved with friends that lived in the projects. You got involved in a whole hip-hop culture. How did that come about?
When I was growing up in Far Rockaway, it was a pretty diverse neighborhood. And a lot of the kids at public school that I went to school with were Puerto Rican, African American, Polish, and they were all living in government-supported housing, subsidized housing. So I would go home and I would hang out with my friends who lived in Redfern projects, who lived in the different houses around there, and I just became accustomed to being around those guys that I grew up with. I was listening to Ohio Players and Parliament Funkadelic, and then that kind of transferred to hip-hop. And then hip-hop culture became our culture. You know, breakdancing, graffiti, emceeing, DJing, beatboxing, and what's called doing the knowledge, understanding the culture and growing with it.
What was it about the music? I mean, you became one of the first white rappers.
I think the thing that really got to me was the freedom of expression. Urban music talks about struggle and life and love and survival. And the music that we were hearing, what people were talking about, you know, were bottles on the street and crackheads, and you know, it was what I was seeing in Far Rockaway, and I was seeing that kind of evolve in my neighborhood, and it was intriguing to me. That's how I got the name Serch, because my friends were always saying, well, why are you always searching for the answers? Why are you always searching for the answers? You know, I had all these questions that I would ask, and that kind of became what I fell in love with. And you know, on top of that, my mom and dad always had a very open kind of household.
Right.
My mom walked with Martin Luther King in Selma in '63. She was involved in the NAACP. She was president of the National Jewish Congress. So she worked hand in hand with a lot of community and outreach programs. So there was always a lot of diversity in my house. For me, this was a way of changing that. You know, I wasn't my parents' kid anymore. I was my own man. I was seeing the world through my eyes for the first time. And hip-hop was that telescope to seeing that world.
And you were seeing some pretty tough things on the streets.
Oh, yeah.
What were some of the toughest things that you experienced?
I got shot at. I was at a Park Jam and Vandermeer projects in '84 and got shot at. I was holding a receiver, helping my man Grandmaster Reggie Reg break down his set, and I was holding a receiver, and this guy, you know, shot a .38 and cracked the receiver, and if I didn't have the receiver, I would have probably caught one in the chest. I've seen guys get slashed up, beat up. There was a violent part of the culture that was an underbelly of all of this, and I kind of really wanted to see the entertainment and the fun and the peace side of it.
So you became a huge artist with a group, Third Base, and then you went and had a solo career. You were all over the country, you were all over the world. Tell us about MC Serch in those years.
MC Serch was definitely gregarious and definitely really outspoken, loved to battle rap, loved to rhyme off the top of his head, loved to be on stage. I was one of these guys who really loved living in a tour bus. We performed in front of, at Wembley Stadium, 110,000 people. I mean, you know, to see this and also be involved in the political landscape and have a say and have a voice and be able, you know, so it was an amazing time for a young man really learning about himself and having the spotlight on him and being able to say something positive. I really felt this empowerment that I could use the stage for social change.
Thanks, man. Best of luck.
Thank you.